Worship, councillors. Pleasure to be back. I'm not certain. I had checked this today and I find that I'm getting confused. Old age, maybe I'm just tired from being here so late at night so often. I have 5 minutes.
Break into the microphone, that'd be great.
Okay, I have 5 minutes, is that correct? Okay, thank you, because my understanding was it was only 2 minutes.
No, 5.
Thank you. I think that we're all towards the end of this process and we're getting tired. It is time to take a look at everything in the overall perspective that we've dealt with here. I, however, would like to just go over 2 issues that are related somewhat to zoning that haven't been addressed yet. The first one is what I found to be a bit of an inconsistency between instructions of council from December 5th, 1974, pertaining to the heritage designation of the site. In the council minutes of the time, it states that council instructs that Shannon Estate, the trees, the wall, and the mansion should be designated, and the staff is requested, in fact actually instructed, to draw up a bylaw. The bylaw that was drawn up only states the wall and the mansion. I think we have an issue here that needs to be addressed prior to deciding what type of development's done, and that is, was the bylaw actually carrying out the wishes and instructions of council at the time? I believe that's something that should be checked and carefully considered, because to make any changes to the site without knowing exactly what the bylaw's intentions were could be very damaging to what future development there is, what the heritage value of the site is. The second issue pertains to zoning. Back in January, the city had a press conference for the developer, which was attended by Mr. Bruno Wall and Mr. Brent Tadarian. I was intrigued by this and I tried to track down some information about it. It took a while, but I finally had a chance with Mr. Sheldon Zealot and Mr. Bob Chai to meet with our city manager, the director of community services, somebody from the communications group, and Mr. Tadarian on, I believe it was the 29th of June. Now at that time, when it was questioned as to why the city found it necessary to have a press conference to correct misconceptions about the project in the media, Ms. Bellum, our city manager, made the statement that there was a legal relationship between a legal relationship, if I remember correctly. I have it written down and Mr. Zealot can probably verify it, between the developer and the city that required that the city made this correction. Now, Ms. Bellum claimed that the city has a legal obligation to set the media straight respecting inaccurate reporting relating to this development. Since there is no such statutory duty, she must have been referring to a contractual obligation to rezone that has been made with the developer. But a contract to rezone is illegal. The city cannot fetter its discretion to either zone or refuse to rezone by means of a contract. So has the city made a prior agreement with the developer to rezone this land? I think this is a very important question, and I am not going to dwell on this. I'm not going to go any further to this, but I will leave this question with this council to deal with. I think that you're quite capable of reporting back to us and telling us what exactly the status of this was. I'm going to go on to my next point. I think we have seen here over the past days, actually weeks and months, that has developed a very strong feeling amongst the communities of this city that the city departments, and particularly council, in its development policies, is working against the communities and considers them to be adversaries as opposed to partners. This is very important when you consider the prior statement that there's a legal obligation for the developer to work with planning and that they work together as partners. When I asked why were none of the community groups invited to take part in this, where some of them might say yes, some of them might say no. There was no real answer. It
Mr.
really
Brodhecker,
inspired us.
That's your time.
Okay,
Did you
I'll be
have
done. I'll be done in
questions
just a
from
minute.
Councilor Meggs.
No,
Okay.
I'll ask, 'cause he's asking a question and I can't ask otherwise. So
Okay,
I think
I'll be done with my statement within 30 seconds. Okay. I think that it's time that everybody step back and looked at what is happening here. If the communities cannot trust council, who represents the communities, and council has policies that seem to alienate the communities, there's a fundamental flaw here, and it is a flaw that can be corrected. And I strongly advise that everybody get together and sort this. This is not an argument about Mr. Wall's or Wall Financial's right to develop the property. It's an issue of how, and that how is guided by city policy.
Thank you, Mr. Brodhecker.